Welcome to Star Zodiacs, your trusted guide for understanding the cosmic forces that shape our lives. Today, we're diving deep into one of astrology's most powerful and personal placements, Chiron in Libra. You may have heard of Chiron being called the wounded healer, but what does that really mean for you? In a natal chart, Chiron reveals where we carry our deepest emotional wounds, those hidden scars that often stem from childhood or past experiences. These aren't just ordinary pain points, they represent soul-level challenges we are here to face, heal, and ultimately grow from. But here's the magic: the very place we hurt the most is also where we can become the most powerful healers, for ourselves and for others. When Chiron is in Libra, the wounds revolve around relationships, fairness, and balance. People with this placement often experience deep emotional turmoil when it comes to love, partnerships, and justice. But there's more. By understanding this placement, you don't just uncover your pain, you unlock your power. Make sure you stay with us until the very end, because we've saved a bonus trait that ties everything together and gives you an extra insight into how to navigate this journey of healing and transformation. Imbalance. The first and most noticeable trait of Chiron in Libra is an internal sense of imbalance. People with this placement often feel like they are constantly walking a tightrope, trying to maintain peace and harmony in their relationships, even at their own expense. They may find themselves being the peacemaker in conflicts that have nothing to do with them, or sacrificing their own desires just to avoid an argument. This pattern often begins in childhood, perhaps growing up in a household where parents fought often or where love came with conditions. These early experiences leave a deep mark, making it hard for them to feel safe expressing their true selves. As they grow, they may find it difficult to identify what balance really means for them. They might swing between extremes, overgiving or shutting down completely. Healing begins when they recognize that peace should never come at the cost of their own inner harmony. Codependency. Another common pattern in Chiron and Libra is codependency. This shows up when someone feels like they are only complete when they are with another person. They may look to others for validation, approval, and a sense of identity. In relationships, this can lead to staying in unhealthy dynamics for far too long, out of fear of being alone or a belief that they don't deserve better. It can also manifest in always putting others' needs first, to the point of losing themselves in the process. These behaviors don't just appear out of nowhere. They usually grow from a deep wound, perhaps feeling unseen, unheard, or unimportant in earlier life. The journey to healing this trait lies in learning to love and value oneself independently. When a person with Chiron and Libra starts developing a strong sense of self-worth, they break free from needing others to complete them and instead invite healthy, balanced connections. Betrayal. One of the most painful wounds for Chiron and Libra individuals often comes in the form of betrayal, especially in close partnerships. These betrayals might be obvious, like infidelity or abandonment, or they may be more subtle, such as emotional neglect or manipulation. What makes betrayal so intense for someone with this placement is their deep longing for fairness and loyalty. Even small breaches of trust can leave them feeling shattered. Because they value justice and commitment so highly, betrayal doesn't just feel like a broken promise, it feels like a violation of the very foundation they stand on. Healing this wound involves learning to set clear boundaries and choosing partners who reflect the loyalty and integrity they offer. Over time, they become wiser in love, not closed off, but discerning. Through forgiveness and self-respect, they learn that betrayal doesn't define their worth, it reveals where healing still needs to happen. Silence. Chiron and Libra can bring a wound around silence, not the peaceful kind, but the stifling kind. People with this placement may find it hard to speak up, especially when it comes to voicing their needs in relationships. They may fear that being honest will lead to conflict, rejection, or loss. So instead, they stay quiet, even when something is hurting them. This silence often starts early, when they were taught either directly or indirectly that their voice didn't matter. Maybe they were told to be nice or keep the peace, and they interpreted that as staying silent even when they were hurting. The result? They grow up to be adults who don't feel safe expressing their truth. But healing begins when they start practicing honest communication, even in small ways. Over time, they learn that true harmony isn't about avoiding conflict, it's about being real and being heard. Justice. Fairness is everything to someone with Chiron in Libra. Their soul cries out when they see injustice, whether it's in their own life or in the world around them. This makes them strong advocates for equality, fairness, and truth. But ironically, their own lives often start off with an overwhelming sense of injustice. They might feel like they were treated unfairly by family members, friends, or society in general. This wound can lead to an inner rage or frustration that they often suppress because they fear it will make things worse. However, when they channel that energy into activism, art, or meaningful conversations, they become powerful voices for change. The journey for them is learning how to balance their passion for justice with self-compassion. They realize that not every battle is theirs to fight, and that healing their own sense of injustice is just as important as fixing the world around them. Projection. A fascinating trait of Chiron in Libra is projection. Because they are so focused on others, what others think, how others feel, what others need, they sometimes forget to check in with themselves. This creates a tendency to project their own wounds onto their partners. For example, if they fear being abandoned, they might become clingy or accuse their partner of being distant, even if that's not the case. Or if they fear betrayal, they may read too much into harmless actions. This projection stems from a deep fear of being hurt again, and so their inner world becomes tangled up with the outer one. Healing comes from learning to pause and reflect, is this about them, or is this about something I haven't healed yet? As they build emotional awareness, they start to see relationships more clearly and create space for healthy love rather than repeating old patterns. Validation. Validation is another major theme in Chiron and Libra. People with this placement often seek external approval to feel worthy. They want to be liked, accepted, and praised, and when they don't receive that, it can feel like a deep emotional wound. This can lead to people-pleasing, changing themselves to fit in, or hiding parts of who they are. But over time, this need for validation becomes exhausting. It keeps them from living authentically. The healing path begins when they start asking themselves, what do I think of me, rather than what do others think of me? By learning to validate their own emotions, choices, and identity, they begin to reclaim their power. The more they live in alignment with their true self, the less they need the world to applaud them. Self-validation becomes their superpower, and they radiate a new kind of confidence that can't be taken away. Harmony. Harmony is both a wound and a goal for Chiron and Libra. These individuals often crave peace so deeply that they will avoid conflict at any cost. But in doing so, they may create internal disharmony. They might agree to things they don't want, pretend to be okay when they're not, or go along with others to keep the peace. Ironically, this effort to avoid disharmony often creates more of it, internally and externally. Healing for them means understanding that real harmony includes honesty, authenticity, and boundaries. It means being willing to face discomfort in the short term to create peace in the long term. As they practice standing in their truth and letting others do the same, they begin to experience the kind of harmony that lasts. It's no longer a fragile balance, they've created a foundation strong enough to hold both truth and love. Identity. One of the hidden struggles of Chiron and Libra is around identity. Because Libra is all about the other, partners, friendships, relationships, people with this placement sometimes don't know who they are outside of others. They may feel lost when they're not in a relationship or unsure of their path unless someone else is walking it with them. This can make breakups or separations feel like an identity crisis. But within this pain lies the key to healing. When they start exploring their individual desires, talents, and values, they begin to uncover a version of themselves that isn't defined by others. They learn that they are whole, even when alone. And from that wholeness, they can enter relationships not out of need, but out of love. Identity becomes not just something they find, it becomes something they create, from the inside out. Boundaries. Boundaries are essential for people with Chiron and Libra, but often, they don't learn that until after they've been burned. Because they are naturally giving and focused on keeping others happy, they may say yes when they mean no, or tolerate behaviors that make them uncomfortable. This leads to resentment, exhaustion, and confusion about where they end and others begin. Setting boundaries can feel terrifying at first. They may worry they'll be rejected, disliked, or seen as selfish. But healing begins when they realize that boundaries are not walls, they're bridges. They allow true connection to happen. By clearly stating their needs and limits, they invite healthier relationships into their lives. And most importantly, they begin to feel safe within themselves. Boundaries don't push people away, they protect the love that really matters, the love they give to themselves. Reflection. The bonus trait for Chiron and Libra is reflection. People with this placement are mirrors for others. They often attract people who reflect their wounds, desires, and fears back to them. This can be incredibly challenging, but also incredibly healing. Every relationship becomes a classroom. Every conflict is an opportunity for self-discovery. When they begin to see patterns in who they attract, how they respond, and what they feel, they can use that information as a map. A map that leads not to blame, but to understanding. Through reflection, they become wise, compassionate, and deeply self-aware. They stop reacting and start responding. They become conscious creators of their relationships rather than victims of them. And in doing so, they not only heal themselves, they help others do the same, simply by being who they are. Chiron and Libra is a journey through the heart of relationships, not just with others, but with the self. It asks you to look at your wounds, not to wallow in them, but to understand them. It asks you to speak your truth, not to fight, but to create real connection. It teaches that harmony is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of authenticity. If you have this placement, know that you are not broken, you are being called to heal in a way that will change your life and the lives of those around you. You are the wounded healer, the one who transforms pain into purpose, silence into voice, and chaos into balance. Thank you for watching. We'll be back soon with more exciting astrology-related videos. Until then, continue to make your mark on the world. Remember, greatness knows no limits. Be sure to leave a comment on which of these traits you relate to the most or to suggest our next video topic. We try to respond to every comment left by you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more astrology content. Until next time, keep reaching for the stars.